Aloha. Let's look at the markets for May 24th, 2021, 9:29 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. And before we go on, put your mouse over that like button and tap the like button. So we're looking at the S&P 500. We see that the S&P 500 had a bullish day today, opened a bit above the body of the bearish candle from last Friday. As we zoom in, we see that it didn't open up that much higher though. It's still in this range. So now we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row of upward movement, minus this third day, this bit of a red candle ignored. 4 days ago we bounced off the 50-day moving average, and now we are going to be testing this area of resistance to potentially make all-time record highs. Click that like button for all-time record highs. Is this a W? Let's look at the line chart. That's a funky looking W. But here we have more of a clean W. We see that the left side of the W is significantly lower than the right hand side. We see that the last line of the W has passed all preceding sides of the W, which gives us an indication of bullishness. Let's look at the weekly chart for S&P 500 on some candlesticks. So please remember that this candle here is showing us 1 out of 5 days. All these preceding candles are a total of 5 days. So right now we have 1/5 of this weekly candle created. Let's look at the line chart for the weekly. Nothing too significant on the line chart. We'll switch back to the candles. We're going to be pushing up against this all-time record highs. That seems to be simply what is going on. Let's look at the S&P 500 E-mini futures to gauge an idea of what could possibly happen tomorrow morning in the stock market for the S&P 500. Again, looking at these candle formations, we do see something that looks similar to a W. And right now we have very low volume. This candle is already trading for the 25th via Eastern Standard Time. This candle for the 25th has opened at a higher point than the previous candle closed at, which is bullish in nature. Light volume, the candle for the 24th was very much a a lighter, kind of a lighter volume, or at least an average to lighter volume than normal. At this moment, my guess is we're going to push a little bit to the upside, but it's just a guess. Obviously, we will see what unfolds tomorrow, Tuesday, and throughout the rest of the week. Let's look at gold. Gold is continuing to maintain above the 200-day moving average. We are trading above this 1880 range. And I would like you to notice that on this candle from May 19th, this candle from May 20th, this candle from May 21st is a bit lower than where these two doji-ish looking candles from the 24th and now trading already into the 25th for Eastern Standard Time. Notice how these candles are slightly higher. The bodies are slightly higher than these. It's not much, right? It's a very small difference. And does a small difference make a difference? It depends on what's going on. If someone were to attempt to punch you in the face and they missed by a quarter of an inch, or they connected a quarter of an inch into your face, that small difference can either break your nose or do nothing to you. So it depends on what's going on, if the small difference is meaningful. From what I'm seeing right here, and as I mentioned in previous videos, if gold stays above this range and the 200-day moving average and this kind of 1800 range, then I believed it was building a base momentum to move higher. And to me, this is an indication that that could be what's happening. Not guarantee, but could be. And we will see. This candle sold off all the way down here to about 1875 and some change. So we will see when the candle closes, because let me remind you, this candle is in motion. Speaking of candles, let us look at how it looks on the weekly chart. All right. Beautiful start to the week on the weekly chart. And I'm looking to the left using my crosshairs. At the moment, we're above a lot of this congestion back from January that's around the 1880 mark. We will see if it holds. We'll switch back to the daily chart and then switch over to the line chart. Maybe, could we be forming a small W here? Maybe. It looks like we have the left down, the left up, maybe the beginning of a right down. I think it's possible. So of course, like we do every single day, we will watch to see what happens. Let's move on to silver. Silver also seems to be trading in a bit of a range. but we notice that the 20-day moving average is moving up nicely. The 50-day moving average is starting to kind of move up. And look at this. Our lows are higher. Our lows are higher. Highs were higher until in the last couple days. But also let's look at this candle, which is on the 25th. Right now, the candle for the 25th and the candle for the 24th is basically staying above these candles from the 12th, 11th, and 10th, where it seems to be a bit of congestion in this area. So if silver can stay above this 2750 mark, 2770, somewhere in there, if it's staying above there, if it's staying above the 2770, it would appear that it's going to be building a base to go higher. What does the weekly chart tell us? The weekly chart is telling me a similar story, that on the week of May 3rd, we had a lot of buyers come in, and then we've been bumping up against the ceiling. And as long as the price action stays to the point of bumping up against the ceiling and not retracing back down to the floor supporting it, then in my opinion it is indicating some more potential bullish movement in the future. We'll switch back to the daily chart and look at the line chart. Maybe we are getting a W formation here. You can see it could be forming here. It is, in my opinion, the line chart is revealing some bullish strength. However, like always, we will see. And let's move on to my favorite asset to trade, oil. Oil had a burst of buyers come in and gave us this wide range daily candle on the 24th. Overnight on the 25th, we are up against some resistance around this $66 area. We still seem to be in this range between the highs of mid 60s and lows of low 60s. And let's look at how the weekly candle is forming. Very bullish looking. Since mid-April, we've been in this bullish move up with a little bit of consolidation for the last 1, 2, 3 going on the 4th week. And again, we see that these candles on oil are pushing up against the resistance. If these candles continue to stay pushing up against the resistance, then it could potentially indicate some potential to move to the upside. Every coin has three sides. Our job is to stand on the edge of the coin and look at the heads and tails. So that was looking at the head, talking about the bullish movement. Well, what's the potential tail or negative part of this? Well, do you see how far apart the 20-day and the 50-day moving average is? The further these moving averages go apart can give you a little signal of potential caution for some sort of correction. In no way does it mean that it's imminent, that it has to happen. It's just something to take note of, so that way you're balanced out. You're not overly bullish without considering some bearish indications. So we'll take note of that. Let's switch back to the daily chart and look at the daily on the line chart. It looks as if we could be setting up for a W. Here in hindsight, we see an M pattern where there was sell-off down a little bit below the 50-day moving average. And now potentially it looks as if we could be setting up to complete a W. As we're bumping up against all this resistance though, which seems to be fairly strong resistance, it might not have enough energy to blast up through the resistance. And see this big smile on my face? I trade in a way that as long as it stays in a range, I'm super happy. Sometimes I'll put on directional trades, but my personal trading style, my bread and butter, I'm an options seller. So I love choosing where the price will not go in a certain amount of time. If that sounds like fun to you, take your mouse and hover it over that like button and tap that like button for me. Even more so if that sounds fun. Why don't you download the Ultimate Option Seller Guide and consider reaching out to me, sending me a message, and see if we can create some sort of synergies and work together and assist you in creating some strategies that fit into your lifestyle. Let's look at Bitcoin. I've been having so much fun watching Bitcoin. For full disclosure, I have no positions in Bitcoin. I have no intention in opening a position in Bitcoin in the next 30 days. But I've been having so much fun watching it. One reason is because I've never watched it so closely. Another reason is that it is such an emotional hot button topic right now. As I've been mentioning about Bitcoin, around this $35,000 mark, give or take 1,000, 2,000, either way, there's a lot of support and resistance, a lot of congestion of pricing in this area. And at the moment, it looks as if we have definitely slowed down on the selling volume, and now we could potentially be building a base in Bitcoin. Here's some things I want to point out to you though. This wide range red candle, selling candle from May 21st. The price action of Bitcoin has not gone gone past and closed above this candle, which is roughly around the $40,125 mark. So this, if you're a Bitcoin bull and you're wondering when you might want to consider getting in, maybe the selling has slowed down a bit, but unless we can close above 40,125 and keep closing above that, even if it's building a range between like 40,000 to 42,000. If it trades in this range, it's building up. Unless it does that, then more than likely it could be a little bit slow to start a bull rally in Bitcoin. And the reason why I say that is that it looks like Bitcoin's all-time high was a little bit under 65,000. In order to get back to 65,000 or 60,000, Bitcoin needs to get above 45,417. Unless Bitcoin can get above 45,417, it can't go to 60,000. I'm sure that's obvious. So when we're looking at these candlesticks, we see in order for it to get to and get past 45,000, there's this congestion right here around the low 40,000s. And right now, Bitcoin is not closing above 39. We touched it here on the 24th, but we're not closing the candle. The candle closed, sellers came in, and drove this all the way down back here. Now this candle opened up. Where's all the buying volume coming in? It's not happening at the moment. The buying volume came in here. Now this is good. This candle opened up above this candle, but unless we can get above this 40,125, then who knows what might happen. A bit of the, speaking of looking three sides to a coin, stand on the edge and look at both sides. Okay, the danger would be if what happens is Bitcoin starts bumping up against this 40,125 mark and just can't quite make it, and then maybe sells off a little more or stays in this range. If you can figure out a way to trade where the direction won't matter, you'll be in a good spot. If you entered a Bitcoin position at a much lower number, you'll be in a good spot. If you entered in a Bitcoin position higher than 40,000, then you have some work to do. The work that you need to do is mental and possibly emotional. What options are available to you if you purchased an asset at a market price that now the asset is trading below? So if you wanted to sell the asset right at the moment, you would sell at a loss. What options are available to you to assist you in navigating that situation if you're in it? I'll say it a third time. What options are available to you? If you're getting the hint of considering looking into how to use options to assist you in that area, then hover your cursor over the like button and click it for me, and go to the ultimate option selling guide, which there is a link to in the description of this video. Download that and you'll get a beginner's idea of how to use options in general and strategies to begin with. But if your situation is you're underwater with Bitcoin, then you need a little more understanding of options and how to start using them. So what does that mean? It means you got work to do. And if I were you, I'd be getting busy. Let's look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart. It looks as if some of the selling might be done. We'll go back to the daily chart. Look at Bitcoin on the candle. W, but bearish W. Bearish W. I'm going to be watching Bitcoin closely. And because we're running out of time, since I had so much fun talking to you about Bitcoin, let's take a quick look at the dollar via UUP, this US Dollar Index. Dollar continuing to move down, lose value, and generally speaking, as the dollar goes down, the price of other things go up. So, for example, the price of silver, the price of Bitcoin, the price of oil. It's not a guarantee because look, the price of Bitcoin went down as the dollar is going down. So that's what our dollar is looking like. And because we're running out of time, let's take a look at the 10-year Treasury Yield. 10-year Treasury Yield. Currently 1.593. So get traded as high as 1.61. Ladies and gentlemen, click that like button for me. Look at the links in the description of in this video, and go to all of them. Go to whatever suits your needs. Contact me if you need. Maybe there's a way we can work together. You guys have a fantastic night.